Hello and howdy, you all. Happy Wednesday. It is a beautiful day here in Austin, and this is Neha, your host for today's Howdy Partner episode. I work as a partner solutions architect here at AWS, and with me today we have two awesome co hosts from AWS, Sarah and Giovanni. How are you all doing today?
Howdy.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining today. So, for those of you who don't know, Howdy Partner is a weekly Twitch show where we invite AWS partners who showcase and demonstrate their unique and interesting solutions. So, Sarah and Giovanni, would you like to quickly introduce yourselves?
Sure, I'll let
Sure.
Giovanni first.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Yeah, greetings, everyone, and thanks again for tuning in. I'm Giovanni Gravesande, a partner SA with AWS. I'm part of the Migration Acceleration Program. So this is sort of our business development team. This is MAP, for those of you that are familiar with that. It is our flagship migration program to accelerate customer journeys to AWS. So the secret sauce really is combining tools, combining assessments, training, and of course the investments to really kind of well-oil the migration machine for our customers. One of the core objectives of my team also is we're really looking to connect our customers with the right partner solutions. And so I'm really excited today to actually learn along with you all about ReluTech and NerdRabbit's solutions and how they can accelerate migration outcomes. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Sarah.
That's interesting. Thanks, Neha and Giovanni. My name is Sarah. Hello, everybody. And I am a partner solutions architect here at AWS. Currently working more involved into generative AI side as becoming a specialist on that one and marketplace ambassador as well. And right now, Giovanni, myself, and Neha have been working with our great partner guest today. So what do you say, Neha? Should I go ahead and invite? Should I take the stab at it?
For sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So we have our partner guest today here, ReluTech, and let me give you a brief intro about them, and then definitely we will let our all the limelight for our partner guest today. ReluTech is let me put it in this perspective, is your comprehensive partner empowering cloud committed customers with a range of IT services and solutions to help ease your migration. ReluTech has this program called IT Divest Portal, Management Portal, which is a software as a solution service as well, provides solutions to help ease your migration while manufacturers will try to convince you to buy the latest and most expensive hardware. Their goal is to help their customers conserve that cash, reduce expenses, and extend the life of your existing equipment as well in your data center, like on-prem premises perspective. And they guarantee them saving at least 50% of what they are spending on their on-premises hardware. So that's the way to go. And not only that, with that, another complementing solution they have is NerdRabbit. And that company, they have this AWS software-defined staffing company through the use of our advanced AWS-powered machine learning software. And it's called Nerdly. Nerdly is a frictionless and unbiased model to connect AWS professionals to employers looking to fill roles with top talent. Also saves the customers the hassle of sorting through endless resumes. So which can all be done through AWS Marketplace. So in order to start with the migration, they have ID Divest. And then if as a customer or partner, you're looking for resources to help you out with that migration, they have NerdRabbit for you. So with that, I think, Neha, I'll let you talk and go ahead and guest.
Thank you for setting the stage, Sarah. And let's bring on Stephanie and Annelle.
Hello.
How are you all doing? Howdy.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hey, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. And we can start with a quick round of introductions. Stephanie, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me today. So Stephanie Dunn, I manage our global partnership with AWS for both sister companies, ReluTech, that manages the IT Divest program, and then NerdRabbit, of course, as Sarah was introducing. I think my job is done, Sarah, now. But you did an awesome job. But NerdRabbit and providing talent how, when, and where customers need it, specifically when migrating to AWS. So thanks for having me today.
Of course.
Hi, Howdy, actually. I'm from Kentucky, so Howdy is certainly something I've heard my whole life. My name is Annelle Barnett. I'm the CEO of NerdRabbit, and you're going to hear a lot more about NerdRabbit today, so I won't talk much about that now, but I've actually been in the technology industry for the past 20 years in leadership and marketing roles. I actually started out on the marketing side, and I'm really excited to be here today and talk to you about our NerdRabbit solution. And we actually have another individual in my office who's also going to be part of this session.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suri Anantarama. I'm the CTO. I help them with the technology direction. Thank you very much. It's great to be part of the Howdy show.
Thank you all for joining.
Thank
So,
you.
Stephanie, would you want to set the stage and start with the first solution, ReluTech?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Can everyone see? Can you see my slides okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. And so, we talked a little bit about, our two sister companies and really what we're achieving and looking to achieve with customers, potential customers, and even partners, but it's really removing the barriers. Giovanni, I know you spoke a little bit about it. How do we remove as many barriers as possible associated with the cloud migration between our two sister companies? And I think it's really important to highlight where we came from and where we are today. And so our founder and CEO is a gentleman named Mark Metz, serial entrepreneur, as y'all can tell here on the screen. And this goes back about 25 plus years. Our partnership with AWS starts in 2013, so long-standing. And you can see the different acquisitions and companies that have been founded. The most recent that we're talking about today is ReluTech and NerdRabbit as of 2018 and 2020. And the reason why I say that is we've been a partner to AWS, right, since 2013, so a long time when you talk about a cloud age as a partnership. And, what we're looking to do is really reduce as many barriers as we physically can to the cloud migration. Now, we know here on the screen, some of these bubbles are some of the things, if not all of the things that our customers are experiencing from very early on in the migration when looking at, okay, what's the total cost of this? How long is it going to take all the way until the end of the migration? And you'll see, starting with OEM vendor lock-in. And so as many people probably on this call are aware, that's when you buy new gear, it generally comes with software licensing that's prepaid, maintenance hardware break fix that's prepaid and built into that purchase price of those physical IT assets. And when we talk about IT assets, it's really network, server, storage, mid-ranges, mainframes. That's really the gear that we're talking about with this OEM vendor lock-in. And generally, when you buy a new piece of equipment from day one until year 3, you're covered. You've prepaid. If anything goes wrong with that gear, you can call into a help desk and place a ticket, and an engineer will get on the phone and try to troubleshoot. And if they can't resolve it, they'll deploy a technician to go out and repair or replace. But after year 3, that becomes very costly. It's prepaid 12 months in advance, year over year, until it goes end of life, right? And then that's even a bigger conversation because that's end of service life hardware. And so you've got OEM vendor lock-in. You've got these long-term costly renewals that I was just talking about. And then what we call it is double bubble spend, which is really what you're spending on-prem while you're starting to migrate these workloads into AWS. You have to run this duplicative environment. So how do you reduce those costs as much as you can to take on that transformation? And then refreshing end of service life hardware, right? You may have hardware that's coming up end of service life, but you need that box to run for maybe 6, 9, 12 months until you're fully migrated off of it and all those applications are in AWS. And then you've got multiple vendors involved, right? You may have some consulting individuals involved. You may have, you have all these different OEMs, Dell, NetApp, IBM, just to name a few. And then you have to figure out, how do you get the right people and talent to actually execute on this migration? And this is all happening at different stages, right? And so what ReluTech's IT Divest program looks to do is, how do we knock down as many of those barriers as possible? And you'll hear a little bit later, my counterpart, Annelle, will talk about how NerdRabbit knocks down the talent gap. But for the IT Divest program, these are our 4 core offerings. What we're looking to do is alleviate as many of those IT asset barriers, or you may hear tech debt, that we can possibly remove. And so I'll start in the top left. And what we look at is those bare metal boxes, right? Network, server, storage, mid-ranges, mainframes, you name it. I always jokingly say anything with the power supply, but literally anything with the power supply inside the data center or the colos. And we really have two flavors of how we monetize these assets. I'm going to start with the straightforward one, asset purchase. What we look at is, okay, what is the list of gear that you have in the data center? Make, model, serial, configuration. Once we know what that gear is, you can provide a list, a CMDB of sorts. We'll put a value on that gear. And I'm going to make it up. Let's say it's $1 million US. Well, if it's available today or in the next 30, 60 days, we'd be willing to cut a check for $1 million and come pick up that gear. And we can do that in waves throughout the migration, buying the asset as it becomes available. The other option is an asset purchase leaseback, where we say, okay, we know this gear isn't available for the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months, you name it. But you want to recognize the cash today and then lock in a guaranteed residual value. So in this case, we'd be willing to cut you a check for $1 million, lease you back the gear for, let's say, 12 months, because that's what your migration is going to take. And maybe you pay ReluTech back $300,000 of the $1 million. But now you've locked in and guaranteed that without a doubt, no matter what happens in the market, you've locked in $700,000, but you got the $1 million up front. That's really to create a predictable financial outcome. So you have the cash to fund the other pieces of the migration, maybe offset book value, hire the proper talent or upskill your current resources that you have. Both options of monetization are meant to be flexible, designed kind of how, when, where, if you want us to monetize the assets.
This is great, Stephanie. I had a question, Stephanie. So this is a great model in my opinion. So what if I am a customer and I don't know how long my migration is going to be? What happens in that case?
Ooh, great question. So it's flexible. We can even structure a month-to-month option because, quite frankly, we want you to get off of the assets as soon as possible, because the longer you stay on them, the less the value, right? And so if you can monetize that asset earlier, you're just getting more cash back. And so in this case, we'd structure a month-to-month model where the quicker you get off the gear, the more residual you lock in. Great question.
That's wonderful.
And that's just one piece, right? The monetization. And y'all can probably tell that's strictly a financial transaction, right? Cash for the assets, how, when, and where you want it. The other piece, and you'll see this little marketplace cart here on the elastic maintenance, migration, gap rental, and unplug to monetize. And the reason being is anything with the AWS marketplace cart can be transacted through marketplace. And we'll get into those benefits, as I'm sure many people are aware. But elastic maintenance is, how do we start to alleviate the double bubble as much as possible, right? You're spending on-prem, and with this gear, you've got all of these contracts associated. You've got Dell, you've got IBM, you've got NetApp, Cisco, maybe you have a few others. And when the gear usually approaches year 3 and beyond, there's an extended service life contract with the OEM that customers are generally, or y'all are probably used to paying, right? Comes up on age 3, you buy the extended service life contract, you prepay 12 months in advance, and you do that year over year until your gear goes end of service life, right? It's kind of like putting gas in the car in many ways. And so what we look to capture is, outside of what is this gear, when is that renewal coming up that you might be up against? And the reason why we want to know that is, let's say you have a Dell renewal coming up on October 1st. Well, we guarantee 50% plus savings from what you're set to spend with, let's say, Dell or IBM or whomever it is. But more importantly, we'll provide flexible terms mirrored to your actual migration. And so for everyone on the call, you know that is not the structure of an OEM. It's prepaid. It's generally long-term. So we'll guarantee 50% savings. We'll provide flexible terms. So if your renewal is on October 1st, but you only need these particular servers until February, you're only going to pay from October to February in addition to the 50% savings. And then the best part is it's available through AWS Marketplace, so you can vendor consolidate as well. So that's the cost savings piece of it, is how do you alleviate what you're spending on-prem while you're starting to migrate? Migration gap rental is very similar in that we know that without a doubt, there's going to be situations and scenarios that come up that you just can't avoid, right? It might be a capacity upgrade. It might be new gear that you need to actually facilitate and complete the migration. And rather than have you go back to the OEM, buy new gear, have new depreciation schedules, we can rent you the gear that you need for the time that you need it at a fraction of the cost. And the idea there is to keep your costs down, CapEx expenditures down, and then get you the gear that you need when you need it, but at a fraction of the price so that you can keep on keeping on with your migration into AWS. And then when you're done with the gear, we can come pick it up and collect it. And we do that in this bottom left box, unplug to monetize. And so you can think of that as literally boots on the ground that will go to the data center and collect all of these assets at the loading dock. Or we can send boots on the ground that will go inside the data center, unrack, uncable, data sanitize or data destroy, pack and palletize, and get the gear out of that data center or colo. And so all of this can be facilitated through our ReluTech Asset Management Portal. Everyone on the call, you can probably hear I'm a fast talker. I have to slow down on that one. But RAMP is what we call our portal. And that's how we create a single pane of glass to manage all of your assets and contracts throughout your migration in very early stages. So I'm going to give you a quick...
Stephanie, I would like to interrupt. I'm sorry. I wanted to make a little bit more clarification on that part when you said about the licensing for the Dell server. So you're saying if I'm myself as a customer and I have to pay till, let's say, starting from this month and next year, October, and I can minimize or stop that with your help right around somewhere next year, February 2024?
Great question. Yeah, so sort of. So let's say you have these Dell servers, right? And you're coming up on year 3 on them, but your migration is going to take, give or take, another 6 months, right? But October is when that renewal comes up, and that renewal is on the hardware break fix portion. So not necessarily the software licensing, but on the ability to call into Dell's help desk, place a ticket. That ticket gets routed to an engineer. That engineer troubleshoots, and then if they can't resolve it, they deploy a technician to repair or replace. Those hardware contractual renewals generally come up on year 3 when the gear hits year 3, and then they're annual purchases. And so what we want to do is get in front of that as early as possible to avoid that purchase from happening, so you don't have to prepay 12 months when maybe you only need 6 months.
True. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And at half the cost. I forgot to mention the most important part.
Oh, it's half the cost. Wow.
Yep. At a minimum. And then, of course, the time that you don't have to pay to use it adds to that percentage, right? Yes. And then it can be very difficult, as everybody on this call is probably aware, to manage what you have going on inside your data center or data centers or colos. So the assets, the contractual renewals, and then time them to your actual cloud migration, right? Because, your IT teams are running to make sure that everything's up and running, consistently and running well. And your cloud and transformation teams are trying to make sure that they're getting those workloads into AWS as quick as possible. And different things are happening at different times, right? And so what we've created is a portal that we provide. We call it our IT Asset Management Portal on Marketplace that really gives you governance, right? To see all of your physical assets, all of your contractual renewals, and then also be able to mirror it to your cloud migration timelines. And so we'll take your IT asset template, our customer success team will load it in here, and then you can start to transact with us through here. So you can request pickups of your assets. You can place tickets through here. So if we do take over any of these upcoming maintenance contracts that you have, you can place a ticket, manage the ticket until ticket resolution through here. And then ultimately, access to this portal isn't going to commit you to our services, but it is going to allow us in the back end to start to get to work on what is the value of the gear and how much can we save you mirrored to this timeline. So it's really an ability to transact, create governance, and then mirror to your cloud migration.
So Stephanie, I just have a quick question for you. So it sounds like we don't necessarily need to use the SaaS portal to get the assessment that you'll provide. So if I'm a customer and I've got a complete, I'm fairly confident in my CMDB and it's got contract data and make, model, etc. Is that good enough to get started?
It absolutely is. Yeah, you beat me to it. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So if you already have a running list of assets, make, model, and maybe you don't have all the data that we'd be looking to capture, but if you have a good portion of it, we can use that as a start, kind of like you said in your running list, your CMDB. And then our team would provide access to this portal for no charge. It wouldn't commit you to our services, but we would still get to work on the back end of what is this financial give back assessment that we can provide. Absolutely.
That makes sense.
And then the type of...
Sorry, yeah. Just a part B's question. So just the value of using the portal, would you say it's that we can get real-time updates in terms of our assets if things are kind of going spiking and dipping, et cetera, et cetera? Is that a fair way to think about that? Or just to understand the benefits if some customers may not be ready to share the data yet with the portal, for example?
Yeah. And so you bring up a good point. You absolutely don't have to get access as a customer to the portal, right? The portal is free. We don't charge for it. And of course, if we do upload the assets into here, it doesn't commit you to our services as a partner to AWS, right? However, the benefits of it are really, you now have your multiple CMDBs or your different locations all accessible in this one single pane of glass. And so now you can see by your data center, the assets, you'll get alerts when renewals are coming up, right? So rather than just maybe autopilot renewing with these Dell contracts or IBM and spending maybe $1 million on that renewal, you're going to get an alert that says, hey, in 90 days, you're about to spend $1 million. We can save you 50% and we can bill it through Marketplace, right? So that's one benefit, right? Is to create governance around, oh gosh, I've got all these renewals coming up. I've got all this end of service life gear. Rather than refresh or prepay on these long-term costly contracts, maybe I should look at what are the other options since I am migrating. The other piece is if and when we do take over any of these renewals, that's when you can start to engage with us, right? So you don't have to pick up a phone and call. You can, you can look and see, okay, this ticket's been resolved that we placed yesterday. Perfect. We're up and running. You also can request pickups of the assets if and when you're ready. But in the early stages, if you're not ready to engage with us yet, or even commit to any services, it still gives you that visibility into the assets and the contracts. But you absolutely are not committed to using it. And I think, Giovanni, you and I were just talking about it a little bit. What type of data do we utilize, right? And, I always say that we're the non-pretty part of the migration. It's no secret to anybody on this call, right? We're talking about bare metal boxes and contracts. And so definitely not the fun stuff that Annelle is going to talk about later. But what we look to capture as a good starting point is make, model, serial. Where in the world is this gear to know if we are maintaining it and taking over any upcoming renewals and helping you break up with the OEM, where are we sending technicians? If we are buying any gear, where are we picking it up? What are the SLAs? So the service level agreement that you might have with the OEM or VAR so that we can mirror to that. And then I always call the support end date, the compelling event date. What are we up against throughout this migration timeline that we can help you cost avoid and then mirror to your migration and save you money on it, right? Which is most important, especially in 2023. And then configurations, right? How beefy or low end are these systems to put a true and accurate value on them? And you'll see we can work with any and all data. So depending on your current CMDB or running list of your physical assets, we can digest that. You'll see what's like good and then what's optimal. What I'll say is, if we get good data, we're going to make some strong estimates. If we have the make, model, location, and configurations and renewal dates, we are going to be extremely accurate to execution if and when you decide to move forward. Once we have this running list of assets that you can provide based on the database that you have, within 3 to 5 business days is when we'll turn around something that'll look very much like these economics boxes on the bottom right. And so you'll see we'll create on line 1, what is the gear worth today? And so in this example, we've scrubbed the customer data for today's purposes, but $950,000 are what these assets are worth today if they were available to pick up. And that's what we'd be willing to cut a check for. But we know based on talking to the customer and the AWS team, there is no way these assets are available until the next 12 months. And so you'll see on line 2 and 3, we structure a purchase leaseback of, we'll give you the $950,000 today. We know these assets aren't available for the next 12 months. And so what would you be paying ReluTech back every month that you need to use these assets until you're ready to come off of them 12 months from now? And then ultimately, what is your residual value? And in this case, $614,000 is what this customer locked in and guaranteed without a doubt, no matter what happens in the market, they locked in $614,000 12 months from now.
So you're trying to calculate this to the depreciated value of the equipment, or?
Good question. So a little bit of, estimate, of course, gear month over month definitely depreciates, right? So the longer our customers sit on the assets, the more depreciation there is on those assets and the less ultimately that they're worth. But so there's a little bit of that. But then the other piece of it is also how much in demand is this gear? And I say that from two angles. One is, ReluTech buys this gear. Everyone's probably wondering, why do you buy old gear? We part it and catalog it and use it to feed and fund our maintenance hardware break fix business. The OEMs don't love us. That's no secret. We're displacing and saving their customers money and breaking up that 30 to 40-year relationship. And so the reason why we buy the gear is we're parting it and cataloging it so that we can save customers money on upcoming renewals. So there's a little bit of how much is it in the market today? So it's fair market value mixed with estimated depreciation month over month. Absolutely.
All right. So that means end of life also plays a vital role in this kind of calculation, right? Okay.
End of life definitely plays a role in our overall calculation, because you'll see on the right, we have our maintenance estimate proposal as well. And so, we take into equation the value of the gear on the left and then, mirror it to the timeline of when our customers will be off of these assets. But then on the right, we look at, okay, these are the renewals on line 1 where you see estimated current maintenance spend. We know our customer in this situation is about to spend just under $300,000 on this annual renewal. Well, ReluTech can do it for $126,000 through Marketplace, saving the customer $168,000 because there's terms mirrored to the migration, right? In this case, 12 months. And then that guarantee 50% savings. And that even applies to your point, Sarah, on end of life gear. And so even if that gear, if the OEM, end of service life is a made up term from the OEM. And so we can still maintain it, but at half the cost through Marketplace to get the customer, which sounds weird to say on a cloud call, to sweat the asset a little longer, but with the goal of getting off of it, but avoiding CapEx expenditures.
Thank you.
Yeah. The logistics of it all, you'll see at the top, we evaluate those IT assets. We're going to then identify the savings. When are these renewals or end of service life dates coming up so that we can then show you, like in this right box, what are the savings that we can offer comparatively and through Marketplace. We'll provide a conditional proposal that looks just like this. And then based on the feedback of our customer is when these boxes will drastically change, right? You may say, hey, Steph and team, we're not going to need this gear for 12 months. We're not sure if it's 6 or 9 months. Well, in that case, on line 2, we'd structure a month-to-month contract so that the quicker you get off the gear, the more residual value you lock in. And then if we do execute on any of our services, that's when the gear is available for pickup. Once you are fully migrated, we can come and provide that data sanitization and disposition. I think I would be amiss if I didn't talk about our sustainability process, right? And I know today this is more important than ever, right? And so I spoke a little bit about it and on how all of the gear we're buying, or most of it, because we're parting it and cataloging it and reusing it in a new environment. But I kind of wanted to show the logistics in a fun way of how this all works, right? So we buy the assets from a customer or corporation. We then bring it into our warehouse. We physically and visually inspect it to make sure it is what we thought it is when we bought it. We then sort these items. We then put it through a physical refurbishment and cleaning process. Then there's quality control that comes in and verification, which is rigorous. And then it goes into fresh new packaging and then is ready. You'll see at the end our little ReluTech truck to be reused and repurposed for new customers to avoid a new refresh because we want to avoid new purchases from happening. So I just wanted to show this so you can see how the process works of us reusing and repurposing the gear and why we buy it. You know, on the topic of sustainability, you know, we have, I'm really excited and proud to talk about it, but, you know, we have various SLAs. And so when our customers are coming up on maintenance renewals, generally, the most common SLAs that you'll hear are 24/7/4, 9/5 by next business day, are generally the most common, and maybe a mix and match them a little bit. But we have and launched our Relief SLA option, which is really our go green ability to maintain these physical assets. So when we take over a renewal, we're doing it at the most effective carbon footprint, in the most carbon footprint effective manner is what I should say. And you'll see that we're utilizing efficient freight management, eco-friendly packaging. We're planting trees for every asset that we are managing and maintaining. And then we're also ensuring that we use a carbon neutral service delivery. So when those field technicians go out and repair or replace, that we're utilizing a carbon neutral service delivery to actually repair or replace those machines. You'll see at the bottom, currently, we're reusing and repurposing 95% of the gear that we are buying. So something I'm super proud of.
So Stephanie, just a question on it. So this is an option for customers. Is this your standard operating procedure for the offerings, or we have to raise our hands and specifically request?
Great question. So a part of our, a part of our standard offerings. And so, well, oftentimes, you know, our customers are faced with choosing an SLA, generally with the OEM or a VAR or of some sort. And you'll see here on this screen, there's different versions of SLAs. It's generally dependent on the environment, right? And the type of gear we're talking about. Is it the production environment, right? Versus their DR, things like that. But usually the most common are, you know, 8/5, 9/5 by next business day, right? Making sure that you resolve that ticket within the 8/5 window next business day. And then you have 24/7, making sure that once the issue has been identified within 4 hours, 7 days a week, we repair or replace that machine. The relief support option is our ReluTech SLA that we've provided to all customers. So you don't have to raise your hand. It's available, and it is available through Marketplace. And so we'll always offer SLAs, even custom ones that you'll see here on the right, and through Marketplace. So it's great. The process, we talked about it, right? It's an asset list. It's a data dump. Once we have that, we're going to provide our financial give back to AWS and you as the customer. And then if you decide if and when to move forward with our services, when it is time to pick up, I wanted to show this so that you can kind of see the various options that are available, right? And so, you know, we can provide data sanitization on site, data erasure, physical drive destruction on site or off site through chain of custody. And in any of the options, you can and do get a certificate of either erasure or destruction, whether we do it on site or off site, right? And then the whole process, I call it the flywheel of our reduce, reuse, and accelerate into AWS. I often get asked, where in the world can you do this? I laugh and say, well, the easier answer is, where can't we do it? And so you'll see here, all the gray areas are the regions that are hard to do business places for us as ReluTech, but everything in orange we can and do business in today. The process of how this all works through Marketplace, I'll spend a second on this because I know we talked about it. ReluTech creates a private offer for our customer. We send that offer to you as our customer. Once you approve that free private offer, we accept it, and then we get you started with our customer success team on onboarding. Once again, not committing you to any of our services.
Stephanie, sorry, since regarding you speaking of that, let me play a devil's advocate here. If a customer comes to you, they approach you, they wanted to get your services, evaluation, right? All the charges, how much are they kind of committed that if they see the evaluation and if they have to pay something for that, and if they decided not to go, what's the criteria for that?
Yeah, just so I understand, Sarah. So if we do an evaluation of how much the gear is worth, let's say it's $1 million, and then we say, you know, we think you're going to spend $500,000 on these renewals, we can save you $250,000. From that point, is there any cost for the customer?
Yes, I mean, or they are like, how much of the commitment is expected from the customer? They are fully committed, or they can back off?
Great question. They are not committed at all at that point. And so if we give a price of what we believe the gear is worth and how much we can save them, and even if they get access to our portal on Marketplace, they are still not committed to do any business with us. It's strictly at that point just a financial give back assessment.
Great. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
That's for sure.
Stephanie, we also have a question in the comments. So do you buy like any kind of hardware? Would you buy a Nutanix HCI gear?
We could. Yes, absolutely.
The power supply, love that. The way
Yeah.
Yep. Wanted to use that so badly.
Awesome.
Great question. Absolutely. Of course, when we are buying it, we generally just look to capture make, model, serial if we can, and configurations. But yes, absolutely. We've even bought, not in our traditional scope, but we've even bought laptops and desk phones to help the customer get out of the data center and give them cash for those assets. I wanted to just give a real customer example, right? Because I think it's important to know, that we do this every day and some of the customers and what they have to say. And so in this example, this is on AWS's website, but Vistaprint, awesome to work with. They were going through a AWS migration and they had aging assets, right? And those assets, some of them were end of service life, some are coming up on a renewal, and really wanted to keep those costs down and avoid the refresh from happening. And so this is just one example of where we help save them 50% on those upcoming renewals and end of service life dates to reduce that double bubble. And we did it through Marketplace so that they could repurpose those savings towards their actual migration. Well, I said a lot. I always say it fast, but I wanted to leave time for Q&A before we get into the really fun part of our conversation today with Annelle, which is how do you get the right people to actually do the migration, how, when, and where you want it. But I'll pause and open it up for questions.
So there are no outstanding questions in the chat. And if not, we can get started with NerdRabbit, your sister company. Annelle, the floor is all yours.
Wonderful. Thank you. So similarly to Steph's opening slide, there are obviously barriers to migration on the talent side. So over the past year, the industry has been plagued with hundreds of thousands of tech layoffs. I think we're all aware of that. Which leave companies short-staffed and scrambling for new ways to get more done with less people. So teams moving into the cloud often lack cloud expertise that's needed and cannot keep up with the shifts in tech innovation or get their teams trained up fast enough to embrace new technology. And finding the right talent when, where, and how you need it is always a challenge to digital transformation projects, all of which can stall cloud projects. So here at NerdRabbit, we actually help you unleash your cloud potential by architecting people solutions that accelerate cloud and IT outcomes. So to understand NerdRabbit, it's important to understand our long history in staffing professional services and our partnership with AWS. We have the same founders, so you've seen a little bit of this timeline already. But NerdRabbit's founder, Mark Metz, founded Relic Cloud in 2013, and Relic Cloud was the fastest growing premier AWS-only consulting partner in the country. And Relic Cloud also had a cloud recruiting and staffing division. So when Relic Cloud was acquired by Blackstone-backed CloudReach in 2018, Mark, our founder, actually retained the talent division, which was eventually rebranded to what is today known as NerdRabbit. So in 2019, NerdRabbit launched our Nerdly platform. It's a tech-enabled AWS talent platform built entirely on AWS. In 2020, we became listed on the AWS Marketplace. And in 2021, we achieved a AWS ISV Accelerate partner status. And then just this year, we became MapLight qualified and an AWS services partner. So here we'll talk through NerdRabbit solutions. All of our solutions are available through our ISV listing on the AWS Marketplace. So on the right side is what I consider our more traditional recruiting and staffing solutions, using our team of cloud practitioner certified recruiters. So all of our recruiters are actually certified. And we provide full-time direct hire employees and contractors. So of course we offer these solutions onshore, but we also offer them near shore using our feet on the ground. We actually have a team in Argentina, a recruiting team in Argentina. And then we offer offshore solutions in India through our trusted partnerships. And so on the left side is what I would consider our platform solutions. Nerdly is our on-demand AWS talent marketplace that allows companies and AWS partners to quickly scale up their team in as little as 48 hours. These are hourly contract resources that are ready to hop on a project today. So they are on our platform. They're ready for your project now. And then Nerdly Select is our white glove staffing solution with a professional services outcome. And we'll discuss that more on the next slides.
Annelle, I would like to ask again that how long did you just mention that it takes to spin up? Because I was curious about that question and I think you just answered.
Yeah, on the for the Nerdly platform, we can have a resource or a team scaled up in as little as 48 hours.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Nerdly Select actually sits at the intersection of staffing, professional services, and talent platforms, leveraging the best parts of each to address today's cloud challenges. So we actually offer hand-selected teams that are right-skilled and right-sized. And these solutions are more accessible and cost-effective because we actually leverage our platform with over 1,000 vetted nerds who, as I mentioned previously, are ready to hop on a project today. And so finally, we offer in-house solution architects and project management that oversees the projects to ensure consistent quality of outcomes. And so to delve into that a little further, through our Nerdly Select offering, we actually offer what we call cloud acceleration pods. And so we understand that every project is unique, and that's why our pods are not one size fits all. We actually meticulously tailor these pods to match a project's specific requirements, ensuring that every solution is delivered and every solution that's delivered is a perfect fit. So these hand-selected teams are comprised of cloud architects, project managers, seasoned software engineers, and subject matter experts. And then again, as I mentioned previously, to ensure the quality of the delivery, we have developed a hub and spoke model with an in-house NerdRabbit solution architect and a project manager at the heart of every cloud acceleration project. And then to ensure the cost effectiveness and that high accessibility, we actually leverage our nerd network of the 1,000 cloud engineers who are rigorously vetted and managed by these in-house resources. So for example, you can engage one of our cloud acceleration pods to deliver outcomes such as cloud migrations, application modernization, AWS control tower configurations, security and compliance audits, DevOps as a service, well-architected framework reviews, et cetera. And you can actually engage these cloud acceleration pods on our platform. So I also wanted to include a slide about how we work with partners. So there are several ways that we work with AWS partners. We can provide them with individual nerds. We can provide them with nerd pods. These are cloud acceleration pods that I mentioned previously. We can provide them. We can provide nerds that are near shore or offshore, and we can serve as their bench of nerds for consultancies so that they can augment their team to address project-based needs, test out a new practice area, maybe something that they're considering ramping up. We can provide nerds for that, and then we can help them scale up when demand surges. And so we offer all of these solutions as we can offer them as white label solutions. We can offer them as direct hire contracted full-time resources. or we can act as an ongoing delivery partner that delivers specific services that a partner may or may not want to deliver in their organization. So for instance, for one AWS partner, we're actually delivering all of their well-architected framework reviews. And this allows them to stay focused on their larger projects and concentrate on their larger engagements that support their core business. And we can take on the task of running their well-architected framework reviews for them. So on the Nerdly platform, we actually have a number of certifications in all different AWS categories and specialties on the platform. So this is an example of who you'll actually see on the platform, and I'm actually going to demo the platform so I can show you some of these individuals. And then in order for a customer to build their engagement through the AWS Marketplace, so the first step is that NerdRabbit would create a private offer and send that to the customer. The customer then accepts that private offer and creates a Nerdly account on our platform. And then finally, the customer will then be connected with one of our client success managers who will walk them through the platform. And I'm going to give you an example of the platform, what that walkthrough is now while I demo the platform. Any questions at this stage?
Good, good. Annelle, yeah.
Right. Great. Okay. So let's make sure, yep, we're seeing the right thing. Okay, so when this is actually, we have two sides of our platform. We have the what we call a nerd herder. And a nerd herder is the company that is actually hiring resources for their team or for a project-based initiative. And then we have what we call the nerd side. And the nerd side is actually the actual consultants that are on the platform that are ready to hop on a project today. So there's actually two different paths into the platform. You register in two different ways. And we do have some people that are both nerds and nerd herders. So some people are taking on project work, but they're also hiring nerds for projects that they may not be able to deliver themselves, or they may not have the capacity to deliver. So when you log into the nerd herder side of the platform, both sides actually have a very similar dashboard. This is your home screen, and on this screen, you can actually edit your profile here. This is your profile up here in the top left corner. So you can edit your profile here. You can see what interviews you have upcoming. So we actually have Chime built into the platform, integrated into the platform. And so you can launch an interview straight from the platform, and you can actually conduct it on the platform. So these are your upcoming interviews here on the left. Under engagements, these are actual projects that you're working on with a nerd. And so you've actually hired these individuals for this project. If you click here on these three buttons, you can actually see their timesheets. You can see the transaction history for this engagement. You can end the engagement, or you can chat with your nerd. And this account that we're looking at here is a demo account. So if you see some interesting things, like here we have test opportunity. We don't want our nerds to actually apply to this opportunity, so we're very clear that this is a test opportunity. So my opportunities, we actually call our project postings or our job postings, we call them opportunities. Here at NerdRabbit, we have about 1,000 different puns that we've used with both nerds and nerd herders and opportunities and rabbits. And with a name like NerdRabbit, we're talking about rabbits and carrots and things all day long. So the opportunities is where you would post your opportunity to accept applications for a project. Nerdly Select, I mentioned previously. So this is where you would see any Nerdly Select engagements that you or inquiries that you have submitted. In the top right is recent transactions. So you can see from a billing perspective, things that you've done through the platform, and then you'll see favorited nerds. And then in the bottom right corner is our built-in chat feature, where we actually have AI and machine learning built into our chat function. So,
Annelle, are there any limitations for accepting these opportunities for?
In what regard?
And like how many projects, or you can only have this much,
Oh,
even from or project perspective, work perspective.
Right. So if you're a nerd, you can take on as many projects as you have capacity for. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So next we'll talk about the Find Your Nerd screen. So there are two ways to search for a nerd. You can type in keywords here and click search, or you can use filters. So filters, we have the rate that you're looking to hire someone for. You have the skills. You have the certifications, and we have all of the AWS certifications listed here. Location, either on-site or remote. And if you choose on-site, it'll also ask you for your location, the education level, and years of experience. We find that most people are searching on these first three categories more so than the last two. So I'm going to do a search here. I'm actually going to search for, let's see, we're going to search for a solution architect associate and a solution architect professional, and click done. And so now it pulls up all of the solution architects that we have on the platform. And as you see, there are 20 different nerds on this page alone. And then we have 9 pages of nerds that have a solution architect certification. So over 180 nerds on the platform that are solution architects. So if we dig into one of these, oh, and actually, let me take a step backwards. You might wonder why these are all rabbits instead of individual names. So our platform was built to be unbiased, or at least as unbiased as possible. So we have eliminated any identifying, qualities of these individuals. So there's, as you see, there are rabbits instead of photos. There are rabbit numbers instead of names. We even block things like universities and schools that people attended, because you can often form bias based on the university that someone attended. So our platform was intentionally built to be as unbiased as possible. Now, of course, there is a stage that you get into in the process where you do know who the human is, and you actually have to be able to communicate with them. So we can't take the unbiased factor to the end of the hiring process, but we keep it hidden until someone has actually selected the individuals that they're considering for the project. So we'll dig into this individual's profile, Rabbit 270. So it pops up a preview of their experience, and you might notice this little blue check mark here by this rabbit's name, or Rabbit 270. So this rabbit has actually been verified, and they've actually gone through reference checks in order to ensure that they can work on the projects that they say that they can work on. So we have everyone on our platform has been vetted by one of our cloud certified recruiters here on staff. So every single person, there's 1,000 people on our platform. Every single one of those individuals has actually been vetted by one of our cloud certified recruiters. And they've also checked the certification numbers to make sure that those certifications are valid. So if we click through to look at this individual's full profile, so you'll see here, actually, there are ratings here in the top right. So you can actually click to see what the ratings of this nerd are. And then the write-up that whomever engaged them, the write-up of what they did for that project and why they felt like they deserved 5 stars. And so basically on this page, you'll see a more extensive bio of this individual. you'll see how many years of experience, their education level, the industries that they've worked in, and different skills that they have. And then if you scroll down, you'll actually see a list of their different certifications. So this individual has 5 certifications. He's Solution Architect Associate, DevOps Engineer, Solution Architect Professional, SysOps Admin Associate, and Certified Developer Associate. So from this page, you can actually start chatting with this individual. So you would click Open Chat, and you could send this individual a message. You can actually, if you're ready to hire this nerd, you can actually hire them straight from this page. You would create a new offer for them, and then you can schedule an interview them now. So there are some situations where you're both on the platform and you're on chat, and you want to talk to this nerd right now. You can click interview now, and you can interview them on the spot. You don't actually have to schedule a meeting with them. So if we go back to the dashboard.
Annelle, if you don't mind me asking, so just to understand the network of nerds here, the star rating could I consider that to be like reputation points, for example? How would you compare like one 5-star nerd to another? I guess it could be another question. So maybe yeah.
Yeah, well, it's user generated. So it's the nerd herder who has hired this individual has generated that ranking. And so I'll be obviously 5 stars is the best. If you see a 1-star, you may not want to hire that individual. But it's like I said, it's user generated, and so they can based on the engagement that they had with that individual, they're rating their experience working with that individual specifically.
Is that the specific project that they delivered in the past, or
yes.
Sorry, I missed that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a project that they've worked on, that nerd has worked on for that nerd herder that has given them the stars, the ranking.
Got it. And then you also had mentioned the most popular filters were rate, skills, and certified.
Uh-huh.
I'm curious also in terms of solutions, because our customers are always looking for a solution. So let's say they're specifically looking to migrate their data warehouse solution. Maybe it's Oracle or some other data warehouse solution to Amazon Redshift. How could we look for individuals specifically that have those skill sets around that specific use case that I have?
So that's where you would use the keyword search. And so if you type in database, you'll see all of the nerds. Sorry.
That's a very good question, Giovanni.
Yes. Oh, there we go. So you'll see all of the individuals that have database experience. If you type in Oracle, you'll see the individuals who have Oracle experience. And then Redshift as well. So fewer of those, but still 10 nerds on the platform that have that experience specifically. And so you can go through and review their profiles. So let's go back to. So you can do a quick view of their profile to read about their background, to see if that matches the project that you're working on. And then you can also, if there are maybe 5 nerds that you think are appropriate for this position or this project, you could select 4 or 5 nerds, and you can actually compare these nerds to each other. So you can actually see them side by side to see which one you think is the most fitting for your position. And the great thing is that you can actually message all of these individuals, pull up a chat button or chat bot, and actually send every one of these individuals a message. So you don't have to send them each an individual message. So you can send a message asking about their experience specifically with their the project that you're looking to hire them for. Okay. So then the next category is my opportunities. So opportunities, as I mentioned previously, this is where you would actually have a, let's see if I have any, there we go. This is where you would see the different job postings that you've put on the platform. So there are two ways to hire individuals on the platform. You can hire them directly using either their profile or the Find Your Nerd search feature that I just showed you, or you can hire them through a opportunity that you post on the platform. So when you post an opportunity, these are closed opportunities. We've already closed these out, but you can see who has actually applied for that opportunity. Since this is a closed out project, we won't be able to see any here. And then we also have recommended nerds, and this is actually part of our machine learning capabilities, where it'll actually pull up nerds that are recommended for this project that that the user can review. And basically, we've matched nerds that we've used machine learning to match nerds to that project, basically. So we actually have team capabilities as well. So you can have an admin of your organization, say maybe like a CTO or someone who has capabilities of like more purchase level capabilities. So you can have an admin, and then you can have team members under that individual who can also hire through that account. So you can hire as an individual, or you can hire as a team as well. And so to create an opportunity, this is a simple process. It's a 6-step process. So you would type in a job title. So let's say DevOps.
No, when you said you can hire as a team, you mean multiple or groups of nerds together?
Yeah. Well, that's our pod program under Nerdly Select. So I am going to demo that as well. Sure. Next, what I meant in that circumstance is that if you know you are you're a 500-person company, you have a 50-person IT team, and you want everyone on your team to be able to use this platform, then you can actually give them all access to the platform, and they can all hire through the platform as well, but it all rolls up into the same organization, and the transactions happen under the parent organization, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. Okay. Thank you.
So with creating an opportunity, I'm not going to go through all of the steps here. It's similar to creating a job posting. So you would enter the job title, the hourly estimate of the project. You would enter the description, whether it's remote or on site, etc. And then you would end up having a opportunity posted that the nerds on the nerd side, they're able to see the different opportunities that are available on the platform.
Sorry, Annelle, just in case I missed it and the audience missed it, who is able to create a opportunity specifically?
That would be anyone on the platform. Anyone on the hiring side of the platform is able to post an opportunity.
Okay. Is there fee structures depending on who I am creating an opportunity? If I'm a partner, or if I'm a customer, or if I'm a K-Force, or specifically?
No, actually, the rate that you see on the platform is what you see is what you get. So we've created an all-in rate on the platform. So the rate is the same for whether you're a company or whether you're a partner. And then so engagements, as I mentioned on the home screen, this is active engagements that you have with different nerds. So it's You can review timesheets here. You can actually approve timesheets through the platform. The nerd logs the timesheet. The nerd herder or the hiring manager actually approves the timesheet. You can see the payments that you've made on the platform. You can schedule a video call with the person that you're working with. You can write a review on the platform. You can end an engagement, and you can chat with the individuals on the platform. Then you can actually see your team's engagements here as well. So you can see who they're hiring on the platform and who they're working with. And again, this is a demo account. And so it's the team engagements are not populated.
So Annelle, if we're using the, maybe you'll get to this nerdy select or the pod mechanism, does the hiring manager have to do this also? I'm just thinking about migration at scale. We need to hire a batch of folks, and we want to kind of offload those admin tasks.
Yeah, so from a Nerdly Select perspective, that is, so Nerdly Select is available on the platform. It can be billed through the platform. It can be billed in a fixed fee. It can be billed weekly, and it can be billed monthly. So the engagement actually happens on the platform, but it is certainly a human. Humans are very much involved in that. As I mentioned previously, we're building pods of teams using our solution, internal solution architects and project managers. And so when someone inquires about one of these services, as you'll see here, I could click on a cloud migration listing. You see the preview of the listing, and then you can view the full service. And then so the company would submit an inquiry, and you can submit an inquiry either on the platform after you've registered, or this is actually public facing. So if somebody is on our website, or we direct someone to this, they can submit an inquiry here. And basically when they submit an inquiry, they give their budget, they give a scope of the project, and then the level of urgency of when they're looking to get started on this project. So from here, this actually comes to us. And we actually put together the team that performs this service. So that's where the white glove comes into this. This is the Nerdly part that I was showing you previously is built to be more self-service. So you can hop on and hire a nerd for 1 hour or 1,000 and beyond. And then with the Nerdly Select portion of our offering, it is more of a customized solution that we build for the actual, for the project, the engagement. And as I mentioned previously, we can build these pods for a customer, or we can build these pods for a partner.
This is great, and I see Annelle at the bottom there. You have referenced the Migration Acceleration Program, so that's great.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, our customers are definitely looking for skill sets related to MAP. So thank you.
Yes, yeah, we've taken them through the assess, mobilize, migrate to modernize on the offering. So. So that actually really, let's see, My Services is a service that you've actually requested on the platform. So if you recall, I showed you how you fill out an inquiry. And so this is the inquiry that you submit, basically. So you can see the different services that you've requested.
Is there plans for other Nerdly Select use cases?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we launched Nerdly Select probably about 6 months ago, and so we have done Nerdly Select types of projects, but we've launched Nerdly Select under this brand name about 6 weeks ago, and so these are basically our starter services. This is where we're starting, and we will continue to add to this as time goes on. But this is where these are the initial solutions that we've put onto the platform. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't build acceleration pods for other solutions. These are just the ones that we've loaded onto the platform at this stage of the process.
What are these solutions offering? I'm sorry if I'm not getting it.
So the different solution offerings are these here. So they can actually engage. They can engage an acceleration pod for these different solutions. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That does make sense. It's the whole procedure.
Yeah.
And
all right. Well, that actually covers the demo portion of what I was presenting today. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer about the platform or about our solutions? About we actually have our CTO here as well. We can talk about the technology behind the solution if that makes sense.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. We would love to see how the backend mechanism from the machine learning perspective and how it's built on AWS. That would be wonderful if you can share that.
Okay. So I will pull our architecture up, and I will shift the camera so that
thank you.
So that Suri, our CTO, can talk about this.
Thank you, Annelle, and thanks so much, Stephanie, and I know spending so much time to explain the concepts. As you know, we are AWS native solution. All the functions, all the services that we use are all AWS. If you look at this, there are a few things that we have done really well. As Annelle pointed out, the video conferencing, we use Chime. For let's say the integrations to the marketplace, right? It's so seamless. If you are an AWS partner, you have your friends in the marketplace. As soon as you do the opportunities, right? As soon as there's an engagement, it seamlessly does the billing. And just to, and I know they did not talk much about a nerd's experience. If you're a nerd listening to this, believe me, you will get paid. Because you work with the nerds, as you know, hey, I'm in the platform, I'm there, will I get paid? Yes, you'll be paid, because we seamlessly move the funds to the escrow account as soon as you sign the deal. That way, you are assured. And Annelle spoke about the timesheet functionality. We make sure that as soon as you submit the timesheet, within
48
hours. Thanks. Within 48 hours, you get paid, and that's done. That's where we have a Stripe integration, as you could see. And also, if you are thinking about if you are a nerd herder, say assume you are a company, AWS partner, and you're dealing with Salesforce integrations, things like that, we have microservices built in the platform that can be repurposed. We get some of the customers call us and say, oh, we have this Stripe integration, we have this Salesforce integration, we are struggling with it. We have licensed the microservices to them. So that's another opportunity which helps you from a go-to-market standpoint. So as you are building something new in this collaborative world, right? You don't want to reinvent the wheel. If somebody has done it, you better repurpose it, use it, and we have that for you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we have a Slack integration, as you could see. I can go on and on these services, anything specific that I can help with. I want to also tell you this. We have a phenomenal tech team. We have a nearshore team in Argentina, and then we have some offshore resources and local shore. Like I have some fantastic directors and project managers, solutions architects. And we are super happy in terms of like, hey, we are able to create a solution in record time, and we have 1,000+ users using it on a regular basis.
Awesome. Hey, Suri, I had a question for you if you could answer that. So, since Annelle mentioned that you are using anonymous people, you don't reveal identities. So, how do you hide that information? What are you using in the backend to mask that information?
Um, you're asking about our secrets.
Okay. Okay.
We use some aliases to kind of mask that to start with, and then once there is an engagement, then we reveal the names. So basically, we have a small function that does that. What you asked has a deeper meaning to it. We are committed to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's what we stand for. And thanks to our founder, Mark Metz, who really believes in this. Right? At the end of the day, as Annelle pointed out, we don't even reveal the college name because if you show that, hey, this guy went to Caltech, right? You know where he is from and what the background is. So, but at the same time, all our nerds, 1,000 nerds in the platform, are all local people. Like when I say local, all of them are from United States of America. Sometimes there is a challenge, like Coca-Cola comes and says, hey, I want to hire someone. They are already, am I hiring somebody from Eastern Europe or from India? Like they may have some limitations, or they may want to hire, like here, everything, all the nerds are at this point of time are based out of North America, particularly United States. And as Annelle pointed out, like each one of them is vetted for their, their certificates are verified. And also we have this blue tick.
Yeah, blue check mark.
Blue check mark, not blue tick, blue check mark right there. And so any other questions?
Yeah, I'm intrigued to know that, hey, can I join it for a side hustle? Extra shoes won't hurt me.
Absolutely. You are welcome. We will be so privileged, Sarah, to have you as part of our platform and join. You can simply sign in as a nerd. If any of you listening here, please go to nerdrabbit.com and sign in as a nerd. And those who are AWS partners, this is the golden opportunity to save money. I know you save money through Stephanie, like how she explained about the IT Divest program. You can save money on the hiring side by joining NerdRabbit. Go for it.
Yeah. It's a holistic all package. Wonderful.
That is great. So I had a question for you, Stephanie, I believe. So we have seen two of your platforms. How do they connect with each other for our audience? Would you help them understand how the end-to-end flow looks like?
Yeah, I'd love to. Because that's like one of the top questions, right? Is you have these two sister companies. You have ReluTech that has our IT Divest program. And that's really, as we were talking about earlier, it's how do we get you the cash and the savings to take on transformation? And in 2023, that's probably more important than ever, right? And so the reason why we're doing it is we know customers have these barriers. We know they have gear. We know they have assets on the ReluTech side, right? And we know that they're spending on these costly contracts. And so we want to drive cash back to the customer in very early stages. So, Gio, this is probably going to be music to yours in a map engagement really early on in pre-assess and assess. We want to add additional financial incentives to what AWS is already doing. And you'll do a ton, as you know, right? When it comes to map for your customers. So we want to drive an additional financial incentive to our customers and your customers, which ultimately is a differentiator. We don't do this with Azure or GCP. We're AWS only when it comes to this financial give back in that pre-assess stage, right? When you're trying to figure out as a customer, how do you migrate? What's the cost going to be of on-prem to AWS? So we want to make that more cost effective to take on that transformation. And our sister company, as Annelle was going through NerdRabbit, can actually help you execute on that transformation because ReluTech can't. We don't have the talent to migrate a workload. We just can facilitate the ability to do it. And so we come in, help with the financial portion to fund this, and quite frankly, to fund the nerds to do the work. And so as Annelle was talking about, there's different versions of nerds. Feels weird to say on a call, but different version of nerds, right? You can hire an individual nerd. You can hire a nerd pod or a nerd squad. You can hire nerds near and far, so near shore, offshore. to do that, but ReluTech's unlocking the barriers to facilitate that piece, which is getting the right people, how, when, and where you need it. So I hope that answers it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so great to know.
Awesome.
Cool. Yep. Do we have any other questions, Sarah, Giovanni?
I would like to mention and point out for the audience today, do not ignore the banner. If you wanted to try out, please use this link, which is running on the screen right now, to reach out to ReluTech.
Yeah, and we would also appreciate if you could fill out the survey for us. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Annelle, Stephanie, and Suri for being here. It was great having you and knowing more about your solutions. Yeah.
Well,
Thanks
thank you
for
for
having
having us. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Of course. Of course. Cool. I'll see you all around then. You all have a great rest of your day. Happy
You
evening.
too.
Yep.
You as well.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.